trying to create some reminder videos for myself when it comes to my spinning. It's July. It's January 1st, 2023. And you've only been spinning for 6 months, but you took a serious hiatus to do a ton of Christmas knitting. So you've probably only really been spinning for 3 months. You'll still need to do a reminder video on how to set up the Ashford e-spinner, getting the flyer on, where to put the oil, what the case looks like. But I believe this reminder video will definitely go up first. So if anyone else is watching, and hello everyone, if you're there, apologies up front. I am basically going to be talking to myself. So either grab a cup of tea and do some knitting or spinning, crochet, anything with me and enjoy the ride, or this is not your cup of tea right now. Sorry, not sure how else to say that. So, trying to get your spinning to be as close to fingering weight as possible once you ply it. What you want is to ply yarn and have it come out like fingering weight versus what you've done before, which is somewhere between worsted and bulky. So I guess because I'm a glutton for punishment, I want to do fingering weight now. And then I can go back up, but I'm still a beginner spinner, so I guess I really want to hurt myself by doing fingering weight. So I have everything set up. Leader is already on. I've got some yarn already spun up. So I just want to remind myself how I'm doing this, because it took a while to get back in the groove this evening just to get up to this point on the bobbin. That's, I don't know, probably 3 inches, 2 inches long on the bobbin. It's not that bad in thickness. So I've been doing this probably for about an hour. Some reminders for yourself. 1, try to keep the speed right there. That seems to work pretty darn well for you. If you want to speed up when you're spinning, move this notch or knob, move it as slow as you can to the point where it feels like you're not even moving it, because the smallest movement on this knob makes the flyer spin quick. It is that sensitive. But remember, when you're at absolute 0 on this knob, all the way turned down, and you start cranking up the speed, it takes a while for this flyer to react. So just be mindful of that. But when you turn everything off and you set it back down to absolute 0, down there, last notch. See if I can get it to stop glaring, and it probably won't. Let's see. There we go. That's a little bit better. When it comes down to 0, when you turn this machine off, when you need to reset and start, go low and slow until you get about to right there. Halfway. There it is. And then you can continue to go up in speed. Always remember, Z-twist will take you clockwise to spin the yarn. S-twist will take you counterclockwise to ply your yarn. And then obviously on and off button. Another reminder that you need to remember, retention knob. You made that little green reminder mark. What you need to really focus on is this tail, which is coming off of here. Make this be, whoops, thank God my knee caught that. Make this be at 2 o'clock. If you're looking at this as a clock face, let's say that's 2 o'clock. That is a good tension because you don't want these springs to be stretched. You want them to be zero stretch, basically. That way, the bobbin will zip around. The flyer will also zip around, obviously, but it won't pull you into it, because that's what was happening when you first restarted this evening. Your tension, you turned it up. So your springs were not short, like I just showed you. They were elongated, stretched all the way out practically. It was way too much tension. Don't do that. When you're doing fingering weight, keep it to where I showed you at 2 o'clock on that tension knob. So the springs hold no stretch to them at all. That way, again, the machine will not pull your leader. It won't pull the fiber and just break everything apart. It's the right tension for you at this point in time for fingering weight yarn. Let's see, what else? Drafting. Remember, when you're using rustic yarn, pre-draft the heck out of it. Make it so light and airy that it wants to fall apart right in your hands. Pull it gently, stretch the fibers apart, pull it left and right to get as much air in it as possible. That way you're not having to fight it on the machine, because you don't want this to get locked up when it starts twisting and all of a sudden it's like this and you're having to pull and pull and pull. Make sure that you pre-draft the heck out of this stuff with this rustic yarn and pull it apart as much as you can so that you're not having to fight it when you're spinning. The BFL fibers that you've used before, and this one, to remind you, is from Greenwood. I don't know if they'll ever make this one again. Yuletide. The BFL is much easier on your hands. It's not rough on your hands. That's the only way to describe it. It's soft when it pulls across your fingers. Even the, I believe it's called Fosse fibers. These are, what do you have here? Corriedale. You've got some Rembouillet's. These are going to be soft on your hands. Just remember that. So you may need to change your tension a smidge. You might need to elongate those springs just by a hair, but you'll have to test it out to see. But right now, for this rustic, 100% like hard wool, keep the tension at 2 o'clock when you're doing fingering weight, please. And again from, not Fosse, Fossil Fibers. These bats that you end up getting because you're crazy buying stuff before you even spin and figure it out truly. This is like cotton candy, so you're definitely going to need to be cautious of the tension. Either keep it at 2 o'clock or move it to 3 or back to 1, whichever one will elongate those springs, because this is, some of these have silk in it, and some other fibers. It's a nice mix of different fibers, but it's like cotton candy. It's that airy. So just be mindful with all the ones that you got from Fossil, especially when it comes to those bats. So let me hopefully stop talking so much. But then again, this is your reminder video. You can talk to yourself for as long as you want, can't you? All right, let's start. Taking out the hook. I think it's called the orifice hook. I hate calling this thing the orifice. It's like the word supper. Drives me up a wall. It's like nails on a chalkboard. Hate that word. Just sounds awful to my ears. So this hole is what I'm going to call it, because I don't like calling it orifice. And what I'm doing is getting this little bit of yarn to draft out some more before I start the machine. And if I did not mention what type of spinner this is, I mean, you can see it right here. It's Ashford E-spinner. All right, so what I want to definitely remind myself of, taking this hook, and I learned this from Sarah at Crafting with Compassion. Perfect trick. Never knew you could do this. Take the hook, hook it on your spun fiber, so it's just hanging there. I'm going to just hold this side. It's in my left hand, and I'm going to let them go together, and they start to spin on each other. Now, you can make noise. I'm just recording. It's no big deal. Okay, I'm going to zoom in because I want to remind myself. There we go. Look at that. Man, my fingers are purple. That's really weird. Not in real life. They're actually pink, so it's the camera. That twist, yeah, I like that twist a lot. That's what I want you to look for when you're doing fingering. Now, let's see. I may do some more of this because I don't think I can get this on here, but let's see. What I'm trying to do is basically measure to see if, perfect. So when I do this as a 2-ply, it will be a fingering weight. Perfect. Oh, that's exactly what I wanted. Good. I mean, heck, it could even be a sport weight fingering too. It's a thick fingering, but that's perfect. It's right there in the fingering notch. Okay. And remember to keep this in your case, the Ashford case. That way, when you're spinning, you can hold the spun yarn on top of these notches, so you can make sure that you're staying in the thickness that you want. So I'm going to get that to hold. Zoom back out. Okay. Take this off, and I'll have to make a reminder video on how to put the whole machine together and all that stuff. All right, let's see. And remember, if you hear any screaming in the background, it's because you have Kingdom playing on Netflix. Good way to start the new year. Zombie apocalypse. So, get some fiber. I already have everything pre-drafted into sections. Remember, take your roving, take your bats, draft them out left and right, up and down, and separate them into pieces to make life easier for yourself. All right. Going to, okay. Actually, I want to make sure this, well, actually, I'll keep that out. That way I can always test. Oh, and anytime you get one of these little slubs, just yank it off. Okay. And I don't think I need any more oil. And remember, the oil that you're talking about is, come on, there we go, the Ashford spinning oil. You put it on this part right here and on the flat notch on the end of the flyer that sticks into this part of the machine over here. But I can do a reminder video on that later. Go ahead and let this thing eat up this extra bit. And, okay. Now I need to put more fiber into my left hand because I'm running out down here. Got my extra. I'm just going to lay it right under. Let that draft out and let it grab and go. There we go. And what seems to work best, right hand is what's pulling, pinching and pulling and smoothing. 3 different things. Pinch, pull, smooth. The right hand is doing all the work. Your left hand may draft back, but that's about it. That's all your left hand is going to do. That's all it's good for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw, which I don't like to do. I'm going to draw a pretty good chunk and let that build up some twist. I'm going to zoom in a smidge and hopefully I can catch my hands. Okay. On my right hand, 1, try not to death grip the fiber. You're hurting your hand. So to alleviate that, stretch your fingers, pull back. Stretch your fingers, pull back. Don't pinch so hard or for so long with pointer and thumb. Pinch, pull back, and you're stretching your hand out. You can even give it a little release. Do that. And the left hand can pinch and not let the twist fly up into all this. So you can see my thumb is pushing down on my pointer. Not terribly hard, but just enough to not let the twist go down into my left hand. So I'm going to zoom out a smidge and hopefully not build up too much twist, because once that happens, it's all downhill. Because the twist is all inside what's in your hand, your left hand. So try not to do that. So just stop myself so I can zoom out. There we go. And I'm pulling back because I realized, I could see out of the corner of my eye, I was getting corkscrews. Like it was doing that. I don't want that. It was doing that further up here. So what I'm going to do is start it and draft way back here on the couch and let all that twist come down way back here. And then I can slowly come forward and then get back onto the tangent that I was originally talking about, which was, what are my hands doing? At least I think that's what I was talking about. Hope that's what I was talking about. Okay. So, right hand, make sure you stretch, move things around. Left hand can pull back. But what seems to work well for you so far are these tiny little short bursts of pulling, drafting, like short little burst, let it go, short little burst, let it go. And this, you can see I'm pulling on like a slub. I'm just going to pull that off and keep it going. I'm going to stop because I don't want it to twist up too much. You can see it's already doing that corkscrew thing, which I don't want. So I'm going to pull back and I'm going to release with my right hand. Restart. I'm holding it with my left now. Let it make the twist here. And then thin that out and let it go. Just remember, if you get frustrated, just stop and breathe. Put it down for a second. Come back to it. It's like having to knit from the very beginning all over again. Getting your hands to do what your brain tells it to do. And your hands just want to act like a thing. Do whatever it wants to do. Okay, so what I'm doing is right hand is my dominant. I'm a righty by nature. So my right hand is going to pinch. Don't pinch so hard that you hurt your hand if you can help it. Pinch and then slide, pinch and slide. Pinch, and I'm gently releasing so I can let the fiber slide, because whenever I slide, it's actually smoothing, at least I think it is, smoothing the fiber. Yeah, I released it. I had a itch on my nose. All right, just don't do that again. So pinch and slide. My left hand can pull, or my right hand can pull. Either way, doesn't make a difference. But what seems to work best so far are these tiny little bursts of pulling, which I think would be called the short forward draw, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not going to get too hung up on the terminology right now. I just want to get my hands to do what I want them to do. So doing these tiny little bursts definitely helps you to control what you're doing versus pulling way back on the left hand. But just remember, the longer that you sit here and hold and you don't move, you're building up twist. So don't do that. If you have to look at something or stop what you're doing, just hit the foot pedal and stop. Don't sit there and just hold. and hold and hold. You'll build up too much twist and you'll get that corkscrew hoopla. Now, let's see how much I can do before. Okay. I want to zoom in. I can feel it building up. The twist, I can feel it building up basically in front of, or maybe behind, whichever way you want to see it. It's happening on the other side of my pointer and my thumb. I can feel it. So just be mindful when you do this again. Pay attention to what your fingers are feeling. You can actually feel that twist building up. So up close, pull, slide, pull, slide. You can see there's a little bit of a space. Pinch, a little bit of a space so it'll slide through my finger and it smooths out on the other end, which I think is the coolest freaking thing ever. Like, it goes from this to that. So yeah, I'm a nerd. But that is so flippin' cool. Now, what I want to do quickly, if I can get my hands to go fast, grab that, put that there. Keep twisting so I don't lose this and it doesn't break, because it will pull. It'll pull the drafting area right off. It'll separate everything if you let it. The flyer, spinning. So just be mindful of that. I mean, you can put it back together. And I'll show you in a second. Up close. So again, my right hand is pinching. I can feel the twist building, and I just slide. Okay, grab another extra. I can lay it and let all that twist come down. Pull. It's twisting too much. I don't like that. I waited too long, so don't do that. What I'm going to do is stop it. Don't want this corkscrew stuff, and that's exactly what you just told yourself not to do. So I'm going to pull way back here, and what I ended up doing, I just laid the new fiber under, just like that. I just laid it up under the little bit that I had left, and it's already starting to mold together. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling on this fiber because I've got so much twist. You can see those little corkscrews popping up? I don't like that. That's just me. To me, that's too much twist, over twisting. So what I'm trying to do is pull it back as far as I can, way back here. And if you can even see that, there we go. I'm letting it release in my hands. There we go. Every time it's twisting, it's the twist coming way back here. All right, you're gonna see how much I've had to come back. There we go. And my fiber's right here in my left. So if you do get the corkscrews, which it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Just remember, hit the foot pedal, do an extremely long draw, or draft, whatever you want to call it, long draw, whatever, like way, way, way back, and just let all of that twist basically fly up the entire strand naturally, and then turn the machine back on when you've got all that twist evened out. Then you can just let the bobbin and the flyer take it, and then you can be right back up here. Okay, what I wanted to do is, and another reminder, don't have long sleeves on when you do this. It gets caught in the fiber on your left hand. Or if you're going to have long sleeves on, make sure they're not loose, because again, they get caught on the fiber. All right, pull that back as much as I can. And I'll zoom out. But what I want to see is I want to see how thick I'm making this. It's too much twist. Getting way too many corkscrews. So just draft further back if you get the corkscrews. Way back here, just start drafting. Keep the tension on your strand, not terribly tight because you may break it, or you may just end up pulling on the bobbin so it goes backwards and starts feeding more and more fiber back out at you. You want it just tight enough. You pulling on it, you want this tension to be tight enough between this hole and your hand way back here. You want it tight enough so that you're not pulling on the machine so it starts unwinding and giving you more fiber to deal with. You want it just tight enough so it sits. And just draft way back here. Pinch it with your right hand, draft with your left, and when this strand that you see right there bounces, I'm letting all of this twist that was stuck up in here, all those little corkscrews, all that tension, flew way back up here. I'll draft a little bit more to see if I can get some more of it out. And I think that's all of it. Yeah, that's all of it. It's loose. All right. I'm just gently holding it and letting it go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draft way back here and feed until I can get back up there. Because I don't want those stupid little corkscrews to pop back up on me. What I could do is speed this machine up, but I am not trying to do that right now. I just want to go low and slow. I will say this, if you need to speed up on this, move the speed knob as slow as you can possibly go, to the point where it feels like you're not even moving the knob, because the smallest amount of movement on that knob moves the flyer at lightning speed. Slub. Stop getting corkscrews. Can feel it. go. So you can see the bounce. Okay. I'm just gonna let it come up real quick as I can get it. Stop it. You can see I'm getting those little corkscrews again, which I don't want. So I'm just gonna pull on this, pull on that, just enough. And when it bounces, I've gotten some twist up by my left hand. Okay. Stop it. And there we go. I'm gonna pull back. There we go. All right, what I want to do is see how thick I'm making this. And what you could either do is slow this machine down to do this, or the safest thing, turn it off and then look. But I'm going to be a daredevil. It's fingering. Keep it going. Now to get the fiber as thin as it is right now, what I'm doing, see the line on my ring finger? First knuckle. I want the drafting to be as thin as that line. So I'm going to get right up on the line. So you can see it. That was way too thin right there. Okay, I'm about to run out of fiber, but you can see how thin I'm making it. That part's a bit thick, but then it thins out when it smooths through my fingers. So it may look fat down here, but then when it goes through my fingers, my pointer and my thumb, it gets pretty thin. So I'm going to lay the new under the old and keep on going. Just let that build in. That's all it's doing. And I'm just going to draft back. Don't need that slub. Now it just got thick on me right there, so it is what it is. I could stop and undo what I just did and thin it out, but I'm not. I'm just not. All right, I'm getting a corkscrew. I can see it right there. I don't like that, so I'm going to pull back a little. I'm going to draft way back here. And once I get it where I want, okay. Now it's corkscrewing again. Let me pull. There we go. Remember to do your short bursts of drafting. It helps you to control things better than long draw. Always remember that. and then just lean forward and let the bobbin and the flyer take it. Now I will say this, check out your bobbin and don't forget it, because, stop that, what's happening, well, actually I can just do this, I think, there we go. You watch my finger, it goes up and then it goes down. I have this lift. So up here is another one of these little knobs, not knobs, holes, whatever, clamps, call it what you want. Why is there a corkscrew on my bobbin? Ugh, I'll get that out when I apply it. I'm not going that far back. These things, you can see it on this one, they're clamps. So you're going to squeeze the black and the silver together. Make sure that you move up and down the rod. That way you don't get a bunch of spun fiber in one spot. You want it to consistently go as even as possible up and down the bobbin. I wonder where that is. That might be like way down in here. That's going to bug the heck out of me. Oh, that's way in there. I'm not playing with that. C'est la vie. Oh, remember, once you've spun the amount of yarn that you want to spin on a bobbin, don't go and ply it immediately. Do not do that. Let it rest for at least 1 week. Seems to relax the fiber. So if you do have any of those corkscrews, maybe it's going to let them release a bit. All right, I'm going to show how to do another type of join. Instead of just laying the fiber up under it, I'm going to make this one a separate piece. Instead of one, it's going to be two. Okay, I don't need this. Pull that back a smidge. So what I have is the end piece. What I can do is lay the new under the old, and it will start feeding like I showed before. There is another way to do it. And I want to test something. Hang that. Let that spin up on itself. And I want to see what it looks like. Redo, because it's doing that corkscrew thing. Okay. Hook on, hold near the machine's entry point, that hole, and then just bring the strands together. They will automatically turn on each other, twist on each other, and then pinch at the top. Yeah, that's what I want to see. That's nice. Cool. Just remember to do that little plying test, I think is what Sarah at Crafting with Compassions called it. Okay, so I'm going to join this. Let me zoom out. I'm going to join this like this. I'm going to set this on the strand and see, there is a way to do it. I've done it before, but I haven't done it in months. there's a way to just set the new fiber onto the strand, and when it's twisting, it starts to pull this in, kind of like a cotton candy machine. So, get that to go up. There we go. Pull back to thin it out, and it's all connected. Start drafting. That to smooth out. I don't know if I like that join so much. Come on. Yeah, I don't like doing that. Okay, reminder, don't do that. I know it worked months ago, but it ain't working now. So just lay the new fiber up under the old fiber, because it made the join thick, and then it did what it did, and then it snapped. Not cool. So what I'm doing is I'm just gliding it across my fingers to get the twist out of it so that I can lay it together the way I should have, instead of trying to be cute, and then put it back together. So stop that and pull. Let all that corkscrew join my new yarn or my new fiber to what's here. Do that way back here. And let the bobbin take it. Slip. Just remember the short forward draw, those little bursts are your friend. Do it as much as you can. There we go. That way you can also stretch your hand out while you're doing this, so you can give your hand a little bit of a break. And it's starting to pull, so I'm going to layer it up onto itself. And that's a bit thick, is what it is. I'm not going to worry about it. Another reminder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is also your friend, it seems, when doing fingering. Once you get up to 5, release and smooth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get enough twist built up on the other side of your right hand so that you can release it, and it gives you the right amount of twist, it seems. At least for right now, that's what's happening. You may change all of this in the future. I think I'm going to end with this little piece and go work on my test knit socks. So I won't spin this entire bit that's in my left hand because I'll need it to connect to the new piece of roving. But I'll try and make another spinning reminder video. I'll have no choice, I need to. But I just don't know when I'll get back to spinning because I got to work on these test knit socks. I am itching to spin. I think that's enough right there. Pull that back a smidge, get my hook, see what we're doing. Yeah. I like that. That's cool. That's perfect. To me, that's perfect. And that definitely falls into the fingering category, but yeah, it's got some wiggle room on sport. But it's basically a sport as well, which is kind of weird. No, it's definitely not worsted. So it's a thick fingering. I don't even want to know how to do a fine lace spin. I'm not playing with that technique anytime soon. So I like what I have so far. So I will wrap this around just enough so I can definitely get it into its little cubby hole over here. Enough slack I'll leave on the strand. Wrap all that around, and then there's a tiny little cubby hole right here on the side for the hook, and I'm just gonna pop that in there. And I'll take the speed all the way down. Just remember where you had it, which was 1, 2, 3, between 3 and 4 is where you had it. Turn everything off. And yeah. And so you don't forget next time, always have your flyer go in a clockwise position, or not position, clockwise direction when spinning, counterclockwise that way when you're plying. So because I'm spinning, I just want to keep it going this way for right now. But what I want to do is squeeze this clamp, and I want to move it down a smidge so that this side of the bobbin starts to fill up, because right here I've got this hill, and then it's pretty even, and then it's going to drop down to nothing in there. So I want the spun yarn to start filling in down here. So I'm going to go ahead and proactively move that clamp. It's just squeeze and then slide up and down. It's not the easiest thing to slide up and down, but yeah. But these two do that. These here do not move at all. And I had mentioned on the other side of this bobbin where the flyer rod, as I'll call it, right here on this flat part, you can see that silvery line. That gets a bit of, I only do like 1 drop of the spinning oil right on here. And then when I take this flyer off, and all I have to do is lift up and pull back, because I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to push up. I'll push up on the bottom of the flyer so this part here pops out of these 2 little arms, and I can pull the whole flyer back and get it out of this giant black, I don't know, tube. That way I can oil the end of the rod. There's a flat piece to the rod that's inside of here with 1 little drop of oil. And a reminder, make sure the flat part of the flyer rod lines up with this flat part of this black tube. Because when you first got this thing, it was not clear in the Ashford directions. It was just, you know, put it together and pow, start spinning. It did not say line the flat black end on this flyer rod, line it up with this flat, you can see my nails hitting it right there. This flat black little lift that's right here. You can't move it. It's just this indent on top of this cylinder, and it will spin. It's all spinning when you turn it on. So just make sure this is facing straight up, and then when you slide the flyer into it, so if my finger is the rod and my nail is the flat part of the rod, you're going to slide it right into here. Flat, flat, make it line up. So yeah, that's off. I don't need my foot pedal anymore. Go ahead and put all this away. And yeah, I will do another reminder video on how to put this machine together once I get another bobbin, but I'll end up doing another reminder video on how to spin, most likely, because I'm still learning and I need to remind myself.